Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki, and the other day I posted a video on how I made this gorgeous stationery grungy double belly band. It's for my swap partner. I'm in a group where we are creating ephemera for journals that we have made ourselves in A5 size, and every month we have to make goodies for our partner. Each month we get a different one. If you haven't seen this video, I have a playlist called Creative Collab Journal. It is absolutely full of fabulous ephemera ideas that you might like to try. So you can pop over to that playlist and have a look. Now, the lady I'm creating for this month, her requests were steampunk or vintage. So I sort of get the vibe that maybe pretty pastel-y, florally things are not her vibe. So that's why I went with this darker theme, and I'm doing exactly the same thing for the next project. What we're going to do is create 2 pockets from envelopes and of course all sorts of deco to go with it. Now, if you want to cheat, you can simply use 2 ready-made envelopes to make your pockets, and all you'd have to do is cut across the top of them to open them up and turn them into pockets. But this original design came from Angela Kerr. It's a very old video of hers. I think it's about 3 years old, and hers was very pretty and pastel-y, and she made her own pockets. So I decided I would do my own. They're actually really easy to do. All you have to do is decide how big you want your first pocket to be. The second one, of course, has to be smaller, and you'll see why shortly. Once you've decided how big you want to be, grab a piece of paper or cardstock and fold it in half down the middle. That way it just makes it easy for you to measure out. The back of the pocket, I take 1 centimetre off, because with envelopes, you know, the back bit is a little bit lower. Then you need to add some borders for your foldy over bits. I initially made these 2 centimetres. I ended up making them a little bit smaller, bit less bulk, easier to deal with. So all you then do is cut them out, trim off the bits, and you can make yourself an envelope. Exactly the same thing for the second one. It's going to be smaller. You'll see all that shortly. So what I've done, I've prepped everything in that I have cut all my bits out. I have folded, I've inked, just to make this video a little bit faster. Otherwise, honestly, we would be here for a while. This prep seriously took me some time, but that's okay. I'm trying to make life easier. I appreciate we are all very busy. So the first thing you have to do is, when you're making this, you need to consider whether your pattern has a direction or whether it's just general. Now, this one, it wouldn't really matter which way is upside, which way is downside. The only thing I'm working on, there is a fleur-de-lis here, and I think I would like that to be the correct way. So as far as I'm concerned, this is my top. So we're going to flip this over. We're going to grab some glue, and instead of cutting this off to make a pocket, I'm just going to quickly glue it down, and it will make it a little bit stronger, because you're going to be putting some goodies down in it. So we'll just do that. Now, this is quite heavy cardstock. I'm sure if I just cut it off, it would be fine. But if you're using something that is a little bit lighter, it would be beneficial to you to fold it over and give it some strength. Then the next thing we're going to do is fold these 2 back over like this. And we are simply going, actually we'll do the bottom first, and that way it can catch a little bit on to here. Actually, no, it doesn't do that, but that's fine. And some glue down here. And then we're going to pop that over like that. And just press all that down nicely. And now we have used the shape of an envelope to create our pocket. So that's pocket number 1. Very simple. We are going to add a little bit of deco to the front of this, because what we're doing is we're making a little pocket down here, and in that we're going to put a postcard. So I found this little scrap. As I said, I've already inked it all up. And now, which way does this go? That way. So we'll just pop that aside. I'm just going to gently run a little bit of glue. Oh, that's a bit too much, but that's okay. Down 3 sides. And there we have a little mini pocket. Now, where are my tweezers? That's a good question. Oh, no, I can actually still find them. If you saw all the mess over to the left of me here, you'd go, I don't know how you ever did that, sweetheart. It's very messy. Now, which way is this? No, look, it's going this way because that's the way I've put the glue. It really doesn't matter. And we're going to place that right down at the bottom. And just a couple of little extra bits. As I said, we're going very dark and moody colours for this one. I luckily the other day grabbed this fabulous ephemera sheet. It's a Minte one. And I got it because it is winter here in Australia. Oh, Nikki. Now look, she's busy gas bagging. She's not concentrating. I don't want that glue on there. So because I've accidentally put it on there, what I'm going to do is just shimmy a bit of baking paper in here. The reason being, sorry, I know I distracted you all there. I want this to sit up and over. So I don't want to glue the whole thing. This is where one's supposed to concentrate, but we're not. So by putting a little piece of baking paper in there, I'm trying to make sure that any excess glue I've accidentally left on the top there will not stick down. Because otherwise we won't have a pocket anymore, will we? So we'll try and be a bit more careful this time and only add glue to the base and then add the extra flour. Now, this Minte paper is nice and heavy duty. I don't know how thick it is, but it is fabulous. So it will cope with, you know, something being put inside. Then I had this piece of paper. It was gifted to me in a swap. It was on very thin paper. I also found this blank postcard. It was part of a cut apart sheet. So I've just attached that to that. And there we go. We have our postcard to fit in our pocket here. Just like that. Done. Now we're going to put that aside because now it's time for the next envelope. And this one is smaller and it's not quite square. Initially I was going to do it square and then I thought, no, we wanted a little bit more rectangular so it matches the base one a little bit more. One other thing I have done is I have die cut a hole. If you don't have a die cut machine, you can trace a hole, or trace a circle, I should say, and then cut out a hole. But if you have a die cut machine, obviously that does make life a lot easier. So the first thing, again, we want to do is make sure we get our direction right. Now, in this case, this bit here is going to be used to attach to the first piece we made. So this is my direction. So I want to keep that in mind. Now you'll see this tiny bit of washi tape here. I accidentally cut a little bit too far. So just to gently hold things together, I have put a little piece of washi tape there. So the first thing we want to do is apply a piece of acetate to cover our hole. Now, if you don't have acetate, you can use a piece of packaging. You can use, what else could you use if you don't have packaging or acetate? Maybe even some cellophane if you happen to have any. Anything that's clear. Now, I'm only applying a little bit of glue, sort of right on the edge. Once this is finished, this piece of acetate will not be taking any weight or any pressure, because there's something going in addition to it on top of it. And I want to try and avoid any of the glue going down below the circle line because it will leave a smudge mark. Oops. That's what, see, now this is what we're trying to avoid. Okay, so before we say, I'm going to try and save that. Please excuse the coughing and the snuffling. I do have a head cold at the moment. And I am now grabbing a wet wipe, and we're going to quickly clean up as much as possible of this mess. This will work, should work just fine. See, accidents do happen, and you just deal with them. A wet wipe should do the job. Now, what I might do, I know roughly where the glue has to be. I'll just apply a couple of little dobs more. And then we're going to pick this up and put it down, and we're not going to move it because we don't want it all smudged. There we go. Gently place that down and leave it there to dry. It will take a couple of seconds, so I'm going to gently push this aside. Now I can see a tiny little mark there. I'll try and gently rub that off later when it's nice and solid and dry. So the next thing we want to do is create a little bit of interest to put in behind our acetate. So I've grabbed a couple of scraps, and what I did, I grabbed the circle that I cut out, placed it on here to roughly measure the center. Reason being, I've popped a little mark here. With this piece here, I want this to be over enough that none of that side is visible behind the clear circle. So we'll just pop a little bit of glue on here. Again, we don't have to be too fussy with this because it's all going to be sealed in when we are done. So I can no longer see my little pencil mark, so that should work out quite nicely. I also found, I bought this sheet of, it's supposed to be scrapbooking paper sort of thing, but I got it off AliExpress, and it's not scrapbooking paper. It is definitely not that quality, but I cut it out, and it doesn't matter that it's not too thick because it's going in behind the acetate. It's purely for decorative purposes. And then I also had this tiny weeny little word specimen. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to that too. And we're going to place that down on here. Okay. Then we are going to attach it to this. So the aim of the game is to just add a tiny little bit of glue. Again, this will be held down by our folded edges, so we don't have to overdo the glue game. Just a little bit to hold it in place, because I want to make sure that it sits in the right spot. So we're going to gently place that over there and then flip it over, just because I want to try and make sure it sits in the right spot. And then we can press that down. Okay, so now we can seal this up. So we are going to apply a little bit of glue along the edge here. Actually, we might need, no, I know what we'll do. We're going to seal that one down first. And then we're going to seal down this one. Now, again, remember, we are making a pocket, so we want to keep the top bit open. So let's press that down. You could put this down first and then bring that piece over, but I think it'll look nicer and neater if we do it this way. Let's get that out of the way. So I'm going to put the tiniest bit of glue along here. Doesn't have to be a lot, but this is so we make our pocket. Okay. So we haven't put any glue along the base there. We do have this the right way round, don't we? Yes, we do. So we've glued all that down. We now have our little pocket with our little specimen hiding in there. And now it's time to attach it to this. So what we're doing is something along those lines. So all we have to do is add some glue in here. And what we might do, because we've got those pretty flat, no, we might actually, we'll just put it just over the top of that flower. That will help it hold it down in place. And then we are going to fold this over, press it right down on the edge, and voila. We now have a flip out pocket and our base pocket and our top pocket. See, we've all got all the pockets happening here. Now, while that's drying, the next thing we're going to do is add something else. See, it never stops around here. There's always something going on. This just gets bigger and bigger. So we now have, I've cut half a circle, semicircle. So that is going on here, and that is going to be a tuck spot. So we are full of places to put fun things with this piece. I actually love doing this. I went, oh my gosh, it doesn't stop, does it? But it's great. Now, we're just adding glue down the straight side. Again, if you don't, I actually used a compass, a good old-fashioned compass to do this bit because I didn't have a die-cut circle that was this size because I wanted it to be a fair size. So I just used a good old compass. Grabbing a saucer or something like that, that's another great way to create a circle. So now we have a little tuck spot, and I think we need a tiny little bit of decoration on there. I had this scrap, and I can see this dent in there, and that annoys me. So I think we need to add a tiny bit of deco to this. Just a little bit of glue. This is a tag pack. I bought this down in Sydney. I think it was from Mint My Desk, and I've just, of course, added some ink around the edges to darken it. And then I found this cute moth in my stash. So we're not going for super pretty butterflies, seeing we're sort of doing things a bit dark and grungy here. So I thought a moth might be a great addition. And we can just place that over the top there. This is only very thin paper, so I don't want it sticking over the edge. Otherwise, I would have probably normally put my moth hanging over the edge, but that's not going to be helpful because that's too thin. It will get damaged. And, of course, we have a few things to tuck in here. I don't know where this came from. I've inked the edges. It's had this printed on the back, so I presume it's from a cut-apart sheet of some sort, but I loved the colours and the fact that it was sort of on the dull side. And I also found this little scrap. Again, I have no idea where it came from, but I thought it went nicely with the vibe, so inked the edges, and that's another piece of ephemera in there. Okay, so we are getting there. Now, the lucky last thing we have to do, no, two things to do, sorry, forgot about this. First of all, we need something in this pocket here. Now, I had made this tag a lot, or I might have been gifted it actually, a long time ago. It's been sitting in my stash, but I've just realised I didn't actually check the proper length of this. So hold on a minute, I just need to check. Actually, that's pretty good. Have a look at that for sort of a perfect guess. Okay, we're going to stick with that. Now, I found this little thing. This was from a freebie from Cara Brandon Creations. I keep all these little bits. This is why we don't throw anything out. You just never know when you need a funny coloured butterfly moth arrangement for something that you're going to make. So I think that's perfect for down there. Then the other thing, of course, I didn't have any ribbon that went with this vibe. So the next best thing. If you ever have an old sheet that you're going to throw out, especially one that's maybe thin and cheap and, you know, not the best quality, don't throw it all out. Cut some out and save it. You can easily make your own grungy looking ribbon. All I did with this was I grabbed my watercolours. I grabbed a sort of a yellowy colour and then a plummy colour. I just smooshed it onto a piece of packaging, just like this, and just sort of spread it around. It's not perfectly coloured. It's a bit blotchy, but honestly, that is the one way you can make ribbon to suit your style / colour theme. It's very easy to do. Now, which way do we want to do this today? No, this way. I can never remember which way I should do this. That will do. Grab that through. Come on, through you come. Voila. Pull that up, and then we're also going to tie this into a little bow just for fun. Okay, there we go. Nice and grungy and a very good colour match. So that is going in our top pocket here. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I like that. Okay, now we get to the very last piece. We have another pocket up here. We need something for that. So again, we went through the stash and found this piece. Literally, I only had to cut off about 2 mil. Don't throw out your scraps. You never know when they'll come in handy. And I thought the pink goes with the flow, and it had all these lovely butterflies printed on it. I hated the back, so I glued this to some coffee dyed paper so that it's more of a journaling card. It had a very dark print on the back. Now, what we want to do is add some bits that are going to stick out the top here. So the first thing I did, I went on a hunt for some leaves because I decided I wanted a couple of leaves. Now, this is from one of those Minte. Have I still got it on my desk? Yes, I do. Minte produced these books of cut aparts. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. And this one is all florals and leaves. Now, as you can see, these leaves are really bright. I loved the shape of them, but they were definitely too bright. So I just got my little ink sponge and some Distress Oxide, and I just gently painted over the top, just like that, to try and tone down the brightness. And I think that worked really well. So what we want to do here is we want to have this up over the top. So we don't want to glue all the way through, Nikki. Hint, hint, remember. We just want to glue the base down, pardon me, and have things sticking out over the top. Now, keeping in mind, if you're going to do this, you need to use a heavier duty cardstock or your bits may very well get damaged. So just keep that in mind. Oh, I am so sorry. This cold is getting the better of me. I should have probably just done this to music, I think, instead of trying to speak through it. But that's okay. It's all good. We are almost finished. And then I think it's time for a cup of tea. Now, again, I might have gone a little bit too high with this one because I do want it to stick up over the top a little bit, but not too much. That should be fine. This was from a Minte cut apart sheet. I presume quite a recent collection because I got it at a scrapbook shop that I actually got to visit not that long ago. Now we're not going to glue all the way around to the edge so that we can have this one sticking over as well. Actually, there we go. Then we have this dark brown one. We're going to do the same. Of course, I inked all the edges of these, so any little excess white bits I may have actually missed are not on display. We might bring that one down a little bit. And then I also found these 2 cute little flowers from the same cut apart sheet. These will just be going down in here to add a little bit of extra interest. And then lucky last, this is a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera. I just trimmed off the excess white, and because I wanted to keep the little leggies and antenna and things, I just gently inked over the whites to tone it down a bit. Now let's see, I want him up there, so let's just add some glue down here. Once this is all dry, I am using my absolute favourite Tiger Grip by Helmer. It is the best paper crafting glue I have ever found. And we're going to stick that there. None of this will move once it's done. And then what I can do, I can always just check if I want them glued down any further. See, for example, I think I would like a tiny bit under here because this bit is going to sit on top of another flower, so that's okay. And we're done. So we now have this very pretty journal card, which is to go up into our top pocket like that and stick out the top. How pretty is that? I absolutely love this project. I am so impressed. So there we go. Now, obviously, if you don't want to do the dark and grungy version, by all means, do it pretty and pastel-y. It doesn't matter. I've just picked this theme. I've never sort of worked in these colours before, so I've really enjoyed doing this. And we have all sorts of little tucks and pockets and goodies. This is just absolutely fabulous. I love it. And that's it. It's an easy project to do. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, pop them down in the comments box below. And I would love it if you gave this video a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It costs you nothing. And I will give you all sorts of wonderful paper crafting projects that you can try at home. So until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Unlike me, who caught a cold. Anyway, until next time, bye for now.